welcome back into our podcast. Today's a Reaction Tuesday podcast where I just react to things I've seen on social media and then I give my thoughts and opinions on them. So let's get right into it. The first one I saw is people talking about a quote that Kirby Smart said after the win against Texas. And in case you didn't know, there's a pretty controversial pass interference called. So the Texas wide receiver, he intercepted Carson Beck. The wide receiver was kind of going like on a comeback route, and Carson Beck threw it to his outside a little more, and the Texas defender jumped it and intercepted it. And originally they called a defensive pass interference on Texas, which negated the interception. And then like a few minutes later, Texas fans started throwing cans like of beer and water and all that crap on the field. And then so that was crazy, and they had to clean that up. Steve Sarkisian like went out onto the field and like told the fans to stop. It was kind of crazy. And then the officials, they started huddling up, and then they said that they were taking away the defensive pass interference just like that. And a lot of people are commentating on what Kirby Smart said. He said, "Now we've set a precedent that if you throw a bunch of stuff on the field and endanger the athletes, you have a chance to get the call reversed. That's dangerous." And I have to agree with that. And I'm not much of a Georgia fan. I don't really like Georgia that much, but I have to agree with him on this statement just because you can't set that precedent. Fans just taking control of the game essentially. That's just not good for the sport. That's not good for anybody. Okay. At the end of the day, what the refs say is what the refs say. You have to you just can't change the call like that. Just because of an influence that some fans had. It's just messed up. And hopefully nobody else does that, but we could see that coming up next week even. Fans trying to do it again, but hopefully the refs are told just like stay strong and don't do that. But anyways, that is a crazy situation that you don't really see much in college football. But yeah, I agree with Kirby Smart on that for sure. Uh, Second thing, so in the Alabama versus Tennessee game, it was like 4th and 1. Alabama was trying to get the, obviously first down, and they didn't end up getting it. But if you rewatch the play, you might notice something strange, which is the Alabama wide receivers. There's like two on the outside. They were going like this and like shooting a shot essentially, like a basketball shot, just while Jalen Milroe was trying to get the yard. And people are saying like Nick Saban, oh my gosh, he would have had those guys running laps, uh, gassers or whatever until sunrise, for shooting the shots on that 4th and 1. And you know what? The first thing that comes to my mind is that those are two guys that you could have, running backs pushing the quarterback, to try and get that yard. Two extra offensive linemen to try and help. A tight end or something. Just anybody to help more than two wide receivers just on the outside, practicing a basketball shot while their team is making a very important decision to go for it, and they ended up not getting it. So, uh, Kalen DeBoer's really got a problem, I would say, going on at Alabama. He's got to work on the culture there. Uh, and honestly, this thing kind of goes beyond this season. If you look past this, like once Jalen Milroe's gone and once all these great uh, players are gone from Alabama's roster, what is it going to be like, with all the Kalen DeBoer players who weren't really under the influence of Nick Saban? It's going to be interesting to see, but Kalen DeBoer has got something going on, and those wide receivers, like, it's just so crazy to see because Nick Saban would have never had that happen on his team. So yeah, I don't know. Leave your thoughts down in the comments on what you think of that, because it is kind of crazy that that was happening while they were going for such an influential play. And then the third one I saw was, uh, they overturned the pass interference, and you have to wonder, especially if you're an Ohio State fan, what about Jeremiah Smith's offensive pass interference that was called? That looked very similar to the play that happened in the Texas Georgia game. Uh, the fact that they called different outcomes is a little bit surprising to me. I feel like if you're gonna call it offensive pass interference, you almost have to call one against Georgia too. Uh, and the fact they called a defensive pass interference on Texas when it looked like the Oregon guy was doing pretty similar things the wide receiver. Okay, so the wide receivers, they were going straight up, and Jeremiah Smith had like an out route, but the Georgia wide receiver was coming back in. But anyways, Jeremiah Smith and the Georgia wide receiver, I forget his name, but they were both like pushing each other. They both sides were initiating contact for sure, and there's no question about that. And both sides do a little pushing and shoving. Jeremiah Smith, I think what the refs saw, just the Oregon DB just getting flown back, is really what initiated the flag to be pulled. But at the end of the day, they looked pretty similar. I think you can argue that Jeremiah Smith's strength and momentum really just carried the Oregon DB to get one away, essentially, and out of the play. And maybe the Oregon DB just needs to get stronger and stuff. But anyways, the Texas DB, he actually stayed with the wide receiver pretty good. But it's just crazy to think that that OPI had such an influential impact on the game. And when you have two very similar plays that look pretty identical to each other, at least contact wise from the wide receiver and DB, that two very different calls get turned. And actually, the DPI did get taken away, so that's another thing to note. So it's just crazy how all that stuff works. Maybe if there's a different set of referees that game, then Ohio State wouldn't have got that OPI called on them, and they would have had a chance to make a field goal to win the game. But it's just all crazy if you think about it, and I think it is worth noting that uh, those two things happen. I've seen a lot of people talking about that on social media, so that's gonna wrap up my reaction Monday. I hope you guys really enjoyed this one. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want. It really helps out the channel, and it would mean a lot to me. So I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.